beautiful weather. Next day I was working shop, so that's when this messed up.
So you missed.
Yeah, I missed the whole bike and by the time it started feeling better, had my shoulder down, I said, yeah.
So you're like itching
So,
to
so
get
no
off.
snowmobile, I won't be on my sled until the 20th.
Yeah, tomorrow is Wednesday.
Oh. I was thinking it was Thursday, Mom. What, I should know where he is. Okay, so ATO, huh? You said ATO, that is not gonna stop like that. I'm sure you have it.
Yeah, I did, and,
To deal with the community cats.
oh, yeah, never ending.
Yeah. I know that. They're everywhere.
Yeah. We're gonna, this spring, we're gonna try and attack.
Anyone hear anything from Craig?
There's a lot of people don't.
I hadn't heard.
Yeah.
Sue him. Be sure, but.
What, Jacob, on number 10, discussion items, A, the 4-day work week that you're proposing. After you discuss that, you know, what should look for feedback from the council. And then you move on to the next one that you have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So. All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Welcome. to February 20th, 2024 Pittsfield Town Council meeting. So I'd like to start the meeting and invite everybody to stand and recite the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all very much. I'll ask just for a moment of silence, please. Thank you all very much. So let's move on to number 4, the adoption of the minutes. The town council meeting, February 6th, 2024, from the council, please.
Make a motion, we adopt minutes of the town council meeting, February 6th, 2024.
Second.
Moving to second. Any questions or comments, council?
I haven't had a chance to review, so I'm not gonna go
Okay, yep, no worries. Yep. Anything else, council? All right, very well, hearing none, I sense ready to vote. All those in favor of adopting the minutes of the town council meeting, February 6th, 2024, as written, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, the minutes have passed.
on.
In one abstention, right, right. So let's move past number 5, presentations, congratulations, introductions, none this evening. Also for number 6, public hearings, and we shall go into reports. So I will hand it off to Mr. Grant, the town manager report, please.
Thank you. Good evening, council. We were very fortunate to have 3 excellent candidates move forward to second interviews for the vacancy in the finance department. And with input from our finance director and our town clerk, who also sat through the interview process, I have decided to hire Angel Aguirre to fill the position. Angel lives in Pittsfield and is excited to get started. Her first day of work will be March 4th. The 2022 audit. Today I met with Ron Smith from RHR Smith & Company to discuss the status of our 2022 audit. The audit is nearly complete and he advised that we should have a draft version sometime this week. And that was after I wrote this, I received the draft version of the audit today. And they will be in the house the first week in March to get the 2023 audit started. Presidential primary election is coming up on March 5th. The polls will be open here at the town office from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on election day. Absentee ballots are available now and are due back by 8 p.m. on election night. And with this being said, is the council, since this would be our normal meeting night, is the council okay with rescheduling the first meeting in March to Wednesday, March 6th?
I see no wish anything, council. We're all in agreement. All right, very well. You have an affirmative, Jacob.
The roof and trim work at the sewer building will be commenced.
I'm sorry.
I won't be here.
Okay. Will you be able to do the Zoom?
No, I'm gonna be at a Tuesday, rising time.
Okay.
And this is on the way home.
Okay.
The roof and trim work. The roof and trim work at the sewer building will be commencing on Thursday of this week. And the materials for the public works garage roof have been ordered and the contractor is anticipating 2 to 3 weeks for delivery. And then the project will finally be underway. And lastly, CMP has started to address some of the many streetlight outages that we have around town. And during the course of those discussions, they brought up converting our streetlights to LEDs. The conversion would require that the town sign a new 15-year streetlight agreement with CMP, but there would be no upfront cost to the town, and we would be estimated to save over $27,000 a year by converting. I'll be placing this on a resolution for the council's consideration at the first meeting in March.
All
That's all I
right,
have.
Jacob, if I may ask a couple questions. So that's 27. So do we have an existing contract or do we have an existing contract? Is this an extension they're looking for, 15
This
year?
would be a new agreement,
Okay, so we haven't had anything like that with them before.
not to my knowledge.
So the contract based on what electrical usage and the anticipated savings on the LED is gonna be approximately 27,000.
That's what it is.
Excellent. And another,
For you.
no,
It's
brainer.
30 to 40%.
Yeah.
increase.
Not much of a deal.
Probably
won't
That's enough out of you. All of you.
I'll even put it on the agenda.
Yeah, another quick question. So I don't fully understand how the primary elections go. Is that just for Democrats, just for Republicans, or?
Well, it is different this year. Previously, the answer to that question would be yes, it was just for Democrats and Republicans, but now people who are unenrolled, meaning they're not affiliated with a political party. Now, that's different from Green Independent or No Labels or any of the other
Right,
affiliations, but people who are unenrolled can choose to vote either a Republican or a Democrat. Now, if you're a Republican, you have to vote a Republican ballot. If you're a Democrat, you have to vote a Democrat ballot. If you're unenrolled, you can choose between the two.
so you have to choose when you come in, they'll give you the proper ballot and then you can vote. Okay, great. Thank you for that. I'm all set. Thank you very much.
Also, included in your packets were the January and December expense and revenue reports, and also the January department head reports.
Anything you want to highlight, way of the floor?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Jacob. So we will pass through number 8, old business, and go to number 9, new business. I assume, Jacob, you'll read them, so if you would start, please, with resolution 24-27.
Resolution authorizing the town manager and grant administrator to file an application to the Small World Travel Worn Body Camera Program for body cameras not to exceed $2,500 with a $2,500 match from the police budget.
Oh, for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 24-27.
Second. All right, moving second, and I'll go with the audience. Anyone in the audience wishes to speak on resolution 24-27? Very well, close the public input. Council. Any questions or comments on resolution 24-27?
I have one question. So it says the police department's budget will match 2,500. Is that in their budget?
He intends to take it out of his budget, yes.
Is it something that he put in his budget, or it will come from?
He did not specifically put this in there, but he feels that there is room enough to take it out. I think Catherine is.
Yeah, Catherine, if you will, please.
Before.
Sure.
Catherine Ruth. Pittsfield. The 2,500 can be a cash match from the budget. It can be the cost of the implementation of the program. There will be IT fees. This has been a long standing project that the police department's been working on with the body cameras, and they've had various grants. They've got the equipment, but now it needs to be implemented. So there'll be at least $2,500 of IT costs that can match it. Or you can use the training costs, the cost of the officers to be trained and the teaching as the match. So we'll be all set.
Awesome.
Is this a new grant, Catherine?
This is a new grant, yes.
So perhaps, Catherine, while you're there, if you wouldn't mind, please. So if there's going to be changes in budget line items, so this isn't specific, you're gonna take one line and put to this, would that have to come before the council? It wouldn't? Okay,
No.
okay, all right. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Council, anything else? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we are ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 24-27, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 24-27 passes. Jacob, if you would, please, resolution 24-28.
Resolution authorizing the town manager and grant administrator to file an application to the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife for an ATV enforcement grant not to exceed $3,500 with a 25% match from the police budget.
I look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 24-28.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. I will go to the audience for any questions or comments, but I probably would ask Catherine if you wouldn't mind to kind of give us a really brief update on that, what the enforcement would be type of thing comes up? I'm sure that'll be the question asked.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Ruth. The police department has had an ATV enforcement grant before, in which they go out and talk with the landowners, meet with the people that have had complaints or concerns, go around and monitor the different areas. They would meet with the ATV club, and basically it's a lot of collaboration and talking and resolving issues. The match would be $875 for $3,500 grant. And figuring out the cost of the officer, likely it would be an overtime shift on the weekend. We could have, with the vehicle costs being reimbursed, we would have 8 shifts over that 20-week period. Or we could have shorter shifts of 4 hours and have 16 shifts,
Okay,
basically.
does this include signage?
No.
Okay,
However, if we're working with the ATV club, they've said that they can provide some signage.
that could be part of the conversation.
Definitely.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Catherine.
All right, thank you.
So I'll open up to the audience. Anyone in the audience have any questions on, comments on resolution 2428? Very well, I'll close the public input. Council, any questions or comments on resolution 2428, please? Yes, Doc, go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
I assume that this is basically to, make sure that the ATV trails are being used appropriately.
Yes.
Okay, now, are they gonna be using their own ATVs, or will they be monitoring the trails just from trailheads, or what?
They've done both. It'll be based upon how the police chief wants to set it up. In the past, they have brought in an ATV, or the ATV club has provided one. Or they've just gone out in different areas of the trails, because they can get to them from the backyards of the residents where there's issues.
Okay,
So it'll be based upon how the police chief would like to set it up.
okay,
Sounds like we need to get them more.
well, that's, the question is, do they get their own ATVs? Are they reimbursed, insurance wise? Who covers, liability?
If they decided to bring in somebody's ATV, it can be placed on the insurance policy,
Okay,
and they could get reimbursement for the use. Likely it'll be donated from the ATV club.
okay, all right,
Excellent.
thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, I
please.
was just gonna ask, Catherine, when you're talking about the 20-week period and the cost of the officer, so the cost of this grant, the $3,500, is the 25% match on top of that? So the grant money, the grant funds are 3,500, and then the town is gonna cover an additional 875, or is the full grant project the 3,500?
This one's set up so the grant is 3,500. It's a 25% match, which is $875.
Okay,
We figured in the cost of the officer at an overtime rate, all of the benefits and the costs that are involved, and the use of the vehicle if it was being used, which likely it would on some of the
so
details.
this is just their time and,
Any
cost
equipment
of
of
vehicle,
vehicle
or
use.
gasoline maybe.
Yes.
for the patrol. Okay. Thank you.
Greg, you had something you want to bring up?
I was just more on the insurance side. I'm going to assume that there would be some sort of rider training program that's gonna be
Mhm.
required for that.
Yes,
order to qualify,
if an ATV is involved, yes,
Okay,
they've done that before.
perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, council? Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome.
All set, council?
I thought I'd have a question, sorry, I'm eating anything today.
You gotta be quick.
Do we have any, probably not with this grant, because it's already put in for the time and everything, do we have any programs within the police department for, community awareness or education programs about educating, not just talking with the landowners, but like maybe finding funding to run classes or awareness sessions or something like that to the general public, to kind of like head off some of the issues, so there's not much, there's more education up front rather than enforcement later on. Are there any grants around for that, or?
So in the area of police, there is a massive number of grants. In fact, the grants that are out there are just amazing, since they have divvied up the money and sent it down to the states from the federal government. You would be amazed. So in the DOJ, there's several agencies that have educational funds. There's money at the state level. I've just started and I have materials out on 42 grants in total. So we need to wade through these and find the ones that we can actually win the grant. We can actually do it without incurring a lot of costs or issues, and they don't have a lot of stipulations, and they're easier to manage and better for the public and what our needs are. So yes, it's a short answer. There are educational grants out there, and they may want to run a class on their own too.
Okay, or maybe partner with inland fisheries or
Yeah,
something.
other agencies.
Or forest work.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
All set, Heather?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Anything else, council? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we are ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 24-28, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Let's have it. Resolution 24-28 passes. Jacob, if you would, please, resolution 24-29.
Resolution authorizing the town manager and grant administrator to file an application to the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program for a modification of the fire station to not exceed $75,000 with a 5% match from the fire station reserve.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 24-29.
Second.
Moving to second. Thank you, gentlemen. I don't see Bernard here. Are anyone here to speak for the fire department, or Catherine, do you have the details you can provide? As before, you'll probably answer all the questions that may come up, if you don't mind, please.
No,
Thank you.
Catherine Ruth. The fire department has applied for a number of the AFG grants, Assistance to Firefighters grants over the years, or at least started the process. It's very complex. It's federal requirement with an online service that many departments will spend 3 months getting their data and everything together. So we're working on it, and the deadline is coming right up. I received information from the fire chief last Thursday afternoon of some information. So we would be applying for a capture system for the diesel fumes and particles that come out of the apparatus, in which there are hoses that get hooked to the fire trucks and go up to the roof for the capture system that sends the diesel out and the particles, so it goes into the environment and a less concentrated setup. So this is for the safety of the firefighters, but also the police station is located in the back above the fire station. And regardless of having a strict protocol of always opening the doors, in the winter, once in a while, if somebody's not paying attention, they will leave the doors closed, too long, and fumes will get into the fire station and can go up into the police station and into the hallway out here. So this is a safety issue, and this time we're going to finish the grant and put it through. We would have a grant that's called a micro one. So some of the departments get, big departments, Chicago and all the big cities get grants every year. And so this will be the first time we'll go all the way through the process. So being under $75,000, we will be a town or a fire department that will compete against other fire departments that have not been awarded a grant yet. So the usual percentages, you have 16% chance. So maybe we got like a 25% chance now. So I'll do the best I can. Bernard is still working on more information. Once we can get into that FEMA Go, which I will get in there, neither the town manager or I could access it, but we do have an updated platform to go in through because the town manager got it updated. Once we can go into the application, it's an online drop down that doesn't work very well. So you've got to start ahead of your date. So as soon as I get in there, I'll start working on it.
Okay, thank you, Catherine.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
Catherine, may as well get the questions over now.
Sure.
Are there filters or ongoing costs with this, and what is the cost of the apparatus? Is it 75,000?
It will be less than 75,000. Bernard was talked to several companies, but did not have any quotations in writing as of last Thursday. So he had talked about like $66,000. So our match is a 5%, which is very good. There is an ongoing cost, and he's supposed to get that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, this motion just for the application of the grant.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll have that discussion.
Yeah.
So before we get to council, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? All right, very well. I'll close to audience input. Council, any questions or comments on resolution 2429? Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
I mean, is the hazard real? Like, does this happen a lot? We get a lot of fumes? Do we have vehicles running in the garage?
The fumes are in the fire station usually, but the fumes do go up and part of the police station is over the fire station. So once in a while, there's an issue.
I just wanna make sure, cause I mean, this is great, it's a grant, but it does come with an annual cost of some sort.
There will be.
It takes some sort of maintenance to keep this
What
thing
is
going.
it,
It's just,
filters or
it's
whatever?
just another widget, right? Something else that's really neat, cause we got a grant, but then you have to maintain it after. So I just wanna make sure that it's real legitimate. If it is, I'm all for it,
It
but
is a legitimate concern. Any new building or any, once we reach a certain level on, work that's being done in the fire station, if we are no longer grandfathered, we have to install this. Like any new fire station has this installed automatically for the safety of the firefighters and others.
Okay.
so Amy, if we had this suction pipe that goes on the fire truck, is that gonna fix? Is that the real issue, that we're leaving the trucks idling in the garage, or is it just the act of firing the truck up and rolling out that's causing the smoke?
I'm not even sure what it is. I just know there's days that I'm sitting in that office and it's like, you can just smell stuff in there and it's awful. I've had that come out before. I've been like, guys, smell this. It is so strong in here.
Is it coming through the window area?
I think there's an actual vent up over my desk that it comes down through. So I don't, but I can't, I don't honestly know where it's coming through, but it does come through. It's not pretty.
Craig, go ahead.
Yeah, you may not know this yet, Catherine or Jacob either, but if we don't or are not awarded this grant, is there a way that we can, have we looked at mitigation of this or ways that, like, it obviously sounds like running a truck inside it is kind of what this sounds like we have prolonged idling inside the building. The startup fumes would not
Right.
permeate into the entire office, I wouldn't think. And it must be a fresh air draw for the furnace system, I'm assuming, a return duct that is sucking that because the exhaust fumes are gonna settle low. So could we look at maybe just moving the fresh air draw, because that might be part of that is, not a.
If we wanna wait and ask Jacob to conduct some sort of investigation and report back.
That's
more
kind of what I'm
information.
thinking. Well, as a potential aside too, because if this is a real issue, I mean, the grant's great, but if we don't get it, we still need to solve the issue, right?
Mhm.
So,
Right, I would suggest, just my opinion, we continue with the grant and it's something that's been in existence and we're aware of it. I'm sure there's mitigation that can be put in place. Temporary at best, if you're idling, leave the door open, just has to make it part of the
That's
SOP
pol-
for
that's
the
policy,
firefighters.
that Once in a while, somebody doesn't do that. I didn't even know there was any in your office area. I know it's in the back area. If they leave the doors closed, it's a winter issue.
yeah, that's gotta be a fresh air draw on the furnace. I mean,
We
that's something that can
We
be
could
changed.
absolutely look into that and I say, excellent suggestion, but I just don't want that to delay or hinder what
It
Catherine's
can
doing.
parallel, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, good point, absolute point.
So if this continues on and we can't resolve it with looking at the vent, we do not get the grant because it's so competitive. We're starting a bit late here because we just got the information. Everything's based upon the information that I have now and the cost in the application. We can still look for some other type of foundation funding or fund it through the fire department, a reserve account.
Yeah, and at a minimum, if that is an ongoing issue, it's something that Bernard can make it a SOP with his crew.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
when you do
had-
this,
he
you have to
had-
do this, it requires human input. So it's gotta be done, I mean, if they know to put on the gear, get in the truck and go, they should know when the truck comes in, keep the door open, get some ventilation while it's idling. If you're
Yeah.
working on a warming up, whatever they're idling in the building for.
Yeah, he has that, but once in a while it's an issue.
Yeah,
Those trucks
well-
hydraulic brake or they air brakes? Right, so. I mean, at some point, it's gonna be idling in the building and we just gotta figure out how to make it.
It's all pre-plumbed.
So that everything's all,
Air pressure's there, they start it and go right.
roll right out, okay, so they don't have to build air pressure before they go.
And
So
that's like the whole point of a warm building.
just a velvet hammer needs to be used.
Yep.
All right.
Stuff you have.
So I think we're all set. Anything else, council? Did I ask for audience input? I don't think I did. Anyone in the audience, wish to, question or comment on this resolution? Very well. Final, council, we're all good. Anything else? All right, very well. Here and now, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 24-29, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. Let's move on to resolution 24-30, please, Jacob.
Resolution authorizing the town manager and grant administrator to file an application to the AARP for community challenge grants. 1 flagship grant and 2 capacity building micro grant walking audit.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 24-30.
Second.
Moving to second. Catherine, before I ask for questions, can you please give us a Reader's Digest version?
Yeah.
I think this needs a little bit of clarification, yeah.
So the AARP is the American Association of Retired Persons. They have some community challenge grants that are to benefit everyone, but especially seniors, so anyone over 50 years old. So they have 2 types of challenge grants that we would be eligible for. The deadline's coming right up. We learned about, watched the video, and brainstormed with the staff on the flagship grants. These are larger grants that can go up to $50,000, but usually are awarded between $12,000 to $20,000. So we looked at projects that could benefit some seniors, and there are a variety of ideas like renting a bus, take seniors to different activities, all the way to reopening the reuse building, which was a senior hangout when it was open before. And so in calling the foundation, they went over the different projects that we suggested and indicated that the reuse building was a project that would be eligible. So this project for the challenge grant, the first one, is to make the reuse building operational and to have it be handicap accessible. This was a building that was donated to the town perhaps 10-12 years ago. 10-12 years ago, and it was turned into a reuse center as a test item, which worked exceptionally well. We would have 77 to 102 people every weekend. They came from everywhere. They came from Bangor all the way from Augusta because the things are free. And it was a social event for the seniors and others. So the building got damaged after COVID. There was some activity in the building that somebody got in and wouldn't get out, but eventually we got them out. And they actually ended up cleaning up the building for us to make up for what they did. In the last storm, the roof was damaged, and so that is a FEMA grant that we will get. We're trying to fix the back of the roof, so we'll have hopefully a new metal roof on the back, which would be great. However, the building is not handicap accessible, so we would need to update the restroom, which got damaged. Flooring over the concrete floor. The concrete floor was fine for the use, for a couple of days a week, but it does get slippery when it gets wet. So people track in and then you can fall down. It's just not good for seniors and others because our volunteers are all seniors. Inside seating to replace the hard metal chairs because they like to socialize and everything. Outside seating, it's nice outside. If you go way in the back of the building, there's a black slide issue, but up front is good. Walkway improvements so that it's handicap accessible, and a heat pump if there's enough funding. So we would find out the items that would fit together so we don't send in a grant that's too much so it doesn't get chosen. So the Public Works Department is going to grade the front and side parking lots and put down some fill. There's 2 low spots where water gathers, so that would be better for the seniors and everybody for parking. Public Works Director is working on quotations. So the reuse building has been really missed. We're getting a lot of stuff that should go to the reuse building that's going into the dump. It's being thrown away, or people have it stacked up in their houses. Every week somebody asks when it will open, the seniors always ask me wherever I go. So this seemed like a nice use, for the funding. It benefits the seniors, it's ADA compatible, and it fits within the requirements of the grant. The second one quickly is a walk audit, for a micro grant. You can have a biking audit, a walking audit, or create your own type of audit. So as we know, our sidewalks and the roads are hard to walk on in the community. No matter how much we spend on road paving, you've got the whole rest of the road that needs to be worked on too. So in the community, we would look at areas where the seniors would gather. That would be downtown, along Main Street, or at the Somerset Plaza. And so those are two areas where we could complement the work that's going to be done on the Main Street revitalization project by checking with Gorilla Palmer to see if we would look at some of the outskirt areas or roads. Or, but I think is a better idea is to go down to the plaza and do the walk audit with seniors. It'd be a training class. They would be volunteering. It would be anyone that could come, but mostly it would be seniors. And we have a book that we would audit the roads and the sidewalks and write down the safety concerns and what should change. And that information then, because that's a whole area that the state is in charge of, could be used as documentation to help deal with some of the issues down in that area. It's very congested and dangerous, basically. People are running across the road in all the different areas and the cars are zipping by. And you've got seniors and others out there wandering around. I wouldn't even like to walk there, and I used to, because of the traffic and everything. So that would be a project that would bring the community together, would help the seniors, socialization, get them some exercise. We work with Healthy SB and some others, police department, public works. And that information too on the sidewalks and the roads, when I talk to Donnie, will be able to be used as part of the capital plan and building it. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
I was
Catherine.
as quick as I could be.
Nope, that's fine. A lot of the information that we needed. So anyone in the audience have any questions or comments on resolution 2430? All right, very well. I'll close the public input. Council, any questions or comments?
Where's the reuse building?
Across from the recycle station.
That's what I thought.
I almost called it the dump, but it's not the dump.
It's coming to notice now as the bus is going.
Yeah,
I know, the bus is
The bus-
gone. I
Fine.
noticed that. It looks nice. I was like, the bus is gone. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought you meant.
anything else, council? Just important to note that there's no mats that the town needs to make, so this is at no cost to us.
How long does it take, like, what's the effort required to get a grant like this? Like, is this a 10-hour effort or a 40-hour effort, or?
I would say 15 hours. I had to watch the video, collect information. Part of this is all together because I'm looking at, I've looked at several hundred different activities, but you narrow it down to the grants that we can get and the ones that are most worthwhile for us. So I would say 15 to 16 hours.
Okay,
It's a very easy grant application. I'm starting out with those ones first.
and then you and Jacob work together on priority of which ones we wanna go after.
I'm collecting, these are the ones that the due dates have come right up, so we had to jump on them. The one for the assistance to firefighters, and we have a generator one going, but that one's gonna have to go in for the next deadline. So once I have everything collected up and Jacob's seen all the books and everything I'm collecting in the office on the grants, we'll go over them and figure out which ones to do. But right now I jumped on the ones that had the closest and soonest deadlines.
Okay.
So if they're on here, Jacob, does that mean that you have given your thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else, council?
We went over these ones. I have others and
Yep.
I wanted to wait till I get through the budget and now
Good.
it's quieter.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Nothing, council? Very well, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 24-30, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 24-30 passes. Thank you, Catherine. Jacob, let's move on to resolution 24-31, please.
Resolution awarding the cemetery mowing and maintenance bid to Steve's Property Maintenance in the amount of $48,000.
Now, for motion to council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 24-31.
Moving to second. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience on resolution 24-31? Yes, Don.
Yeah, I would like to speak. Don Shute, resident, Pittsfield, all my life. I think we've come to a day and an age where, I feel a little bit more empathetic. I remember, coming into town and wanting this town to be better. And I think I've exemplified that through my long hours and work and saving in town money between the transfer station, and everything that I do. Very empathetic to the 3 veterans that work at the cemetery that are gonna be, or possibly losing their job. And I think they exemplified excellence when it came to taking care of that cemetery. Think that probably I've seen a little skew, a little picture was painted for me. And that little picture that was painted for me kind of distracted me from the whole picture. I think that bidding things out is a good thing if it saves town money. But I think this is gonna have a ripple effect. You got three veterans that are seniors that pay taxes in this town. That take pride in their job, and nobody really, up until about a week ago, I talked to them all a little bit. I think one of the issues was manpower and the ability to get labor. And I think that was skewed. I don't think there was, I think there's more to that story than what's being said. And they all acted pretty disappointed when I had talked to them about the amount of hard work and pride that they took in that place, not counting all the help of Public Works, building roads, in our spare time and scheduling things in, and everybody else has put a lot of sweat and tears in that place. And I think that probably, the cost effectiveness, I don't think that that's the real cost. I crunch numbers, I look at what needs to get done. I personally myself feel like if we're gonna contract it out, it should be cheaper and we should be getting the same quality of a job and the pride that goes into those cemeteries. And I think that at this point, I think it would behoove us to tell people to sharpen the pencils when it comes to bidding on price on the mowing. And I think that we didn't, or myself, I didn't have the total numbers. I think I was looking at things that weren't necessarily true. And I think that we still got plenty of time if we were to rebid this out again. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. I remember, Mr. Mayor, when you handed me a hat, MPGA, make Pittsfield great again. I work hard in this community. There's a lot of other people that work hard in this community. And I will tell you what, I hear people and our employees joking and stuff, and it's making other employees nervous that we're just replaceable. I hear them joking around about, oh, we're just gonna hire illegals. They're gonna contract everything out. You know, I've dedicated my life. I bought my vehicles local. I frequent all of local eateries. I don't go to Bangor. My money goes back in the community. I pay $3,000 or $4,000 more to buy my truck up here at Varney's because it's local people. I see them every day. I see them spending their money in town. And at some point, where do we stop this? And the reason why I say this is we discussed this about a building maintenance budget for this building. We had a person that worked here that cleaned the floors, cleaned the sidewalk in those leaves, and trimmed the hedges and painted inside and built things. And we decided to contract it out based on just general cleaning of the floors and stuff, or whatever the contract was. We weren't getting the same apples to apples. There was a lot more that was getting done than what people could see. And I think that this affects those 3 veterans' lives. I think it affects a lot of the people that have worked for the town, employees that have gone down there. My guys have gone down there, weed whacked. When there's nothing to do, they've gone down and weed whacked around those stones. When Jerry was looking for a project, they go and help straighten up stones down there. Everybody takes pride in that cemetery. There's a lot that goes on down there. And I think there's no way that a contractor can do it better or cheaper than we do. That's all I gotta say. Thank you for listening.
All right. Thank you, Don. I know the council has some questions on what Donnie just presented, so what I'd like to do is offer anyone else in the audience a chance to speak, and then we'll come to the council. I'm sure we'll ask you come up to the podium again. So, does anyone else in the audience wish to speak on resolution 24-31? All right, very well. I'll close the public input for now. Council, any questions or comments?
I have a question. Could you describe what's happening currently? Who takes care of this work right now?
As far as the cemetery,
Yeah.
there's no-
Donnie, could you come podium?
The mowing
Here.
and maintenance.
Now, they had a crew down there, they had 3 veterans and Peter Snow was a sexton, which is also mowing down, so there's 4.
So town employees.
In a way, they are town employees, but I think they get paid out of the trust. So it's really trust money that the town takes the money out of the trust and puts it in that budget to do that.
So before you go on, is that, does that require clarification?
They're town employees.
Okay,
Are they part-time? They're part-time, so they get no benefits.
Correct.
Part-time conceivable.
What else do they do?
Just cemeteries.
Are they gonna keep doing that?
Well, they're not gonna now, if we.
well, we'll still have the sexton, of course,
Mhm.
and I believe, I'm not gonna speak for Pete, I wish he would have been here tonight, but I think he was probably thinking about retiring here one of these days, so at least from the sexton
Yeah,
part, and I assume from the mowing too, I don't know, I don't wanna speak for him. You know, like I said, I wish he was here to kind of give us his input on that. Anything else? So I wanted to ask about the price we're looking at, 48,000, how does that compare to what the town is? Do we have an idea what the town pays to do that now? What we've been doing ourselves?
We ran those figures during the budget process, and what we found was. If the bid were to come in at 48,000, which is what we budgeted for to do this, it would more or less be a wash. It's not, this isn't a big money saver, but it's not an additional expense either.
So we were looking at 48,000 plus or minus a couple here and there on what we were able to do ourselves in-house, okay?
Then you add maintenance costs on all the equipment that we use. We took into account the fact that these gentlemen are up in age and maybe getting closer to being done than not done. And I think that kind of
When you
always.
say done, what do you mean?
Done mowing.
A little sensitive, a little sensitive.
Yeah, then.
Thin ice, let's move on.
Different role as.
Yeah.
Yeah,
After listening to that, why did we go out for bid if we already have employees that are doing the job?
Say the narrative was a lot different.
What I just said, yeah.
The narrative before by Pete was a lot different.
Not
Like,
able, they weren't able to hire people, weren't able
They're getting
to
up in age.
get
and
up in age.
He works too hard and.
so that's the point I want to get back to. I know Craig, you had something you want to bring up, you've been patient.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just, are there, to address one of Donnie's concerns, and I hear you there about displacing workers that have given time, effort, sweat equity into the town, right? Are there positions, are there opportunities in the town that are still unfulfilled that these individuals can be moved to, that they can still find some sort of value in their efforts for the town? Do we have?
I actually had one working part-time for me at the transfer station, because we're down an employee. And he had his heart set on the actual cemetery, that was his love. And he was only filling the gap until we got time, whether we hired a sexton or whatever, because Peter was retiring at the end of the year.
Right.
So he was looking forward to doing that. And then when he heard this, Tuesday, he walked off the job and said, I guess we're expendable. He said, you're never gonna get a full-time employee if I'm helping out part-time. I thought I was going back to the cemetery. That's where my heart was. And he just kind of said, maybe I ought to start looking somewhere else.
So,
And a lot of that's in the delivery of how that transition is happening too, right? If it's, hey, we're bringing in somebody because you guys haven't been able to, or you're running near the end of being able to handle this job, then that sounds like we're being expended. If
Well,
it is-
that's a valid point. I guess I'm concerned that, for a couple of things, that you're the one that needs to identify some facts or non-facts that have been skewed from the narrative prior.
I
So-
I'm not gonna, I can't.
No, and I know, and I won't ask you to, because from you it'd be hearsay, and we can't act upon that, so I had wished Pete was here to kind of give us a better view. It seems like there's something that we're unaware of, or that we gotta look at in a different light, so I suggestion I would have, we could probably table this to the next meeting, maybe invite Pete to come in and kind of give us more specifics. I would feel better being able to make that decision.
If he's retired, he's gonna have no
Talk to-
obligation.
Well, what,
Talk to the gentlemen that
Yeah.
are complaining about being displaced, like. they-
Well, and that's part of why I said that I think that. You know, I have the utmost respect for everybody, all my employees, if they tell me stuff, you can take it to the bank. If, you know, Mr. Mayor tells me something, Mike, you tell me something, I take it to the bank. But you hear one part of a narrative and you've got 5 other people or 3 other people. And why, one of the reasons is too, is that in the past, 3 months, I had 3 people approach me that put in applications to do work at the cemetery. And it kind of was disheartening to hear that there's nobody willing to do some of the work. And I said, geez, I guess I don't know. I felt like, I guess I weren't privy to the application process or whatever. So I said, well, there's obviously people that are willing to work.
yeah, so Jacob, quick question, so Mr. Snow is no longer our sexton?
Sure.
Do we have anyone act in that position?
I have not, I've waited to hire for that position pending what direction the council goes in, because managing 4 employees to get a job done is a lot different than overseeing the contract to get a job done, and it's gonna change the job.
Yeah, understood.
So
understood.
I have intentionally waited for the council to act on this one way or another, before we hire that.
Is there, Pete's not, I know we're speaking for other people who aren't here, is there a way that we can kind of get? Because I am concerned, and I was okay until you say you threw my hat back at me, so okay, I'm with you. Because the spirit of what I did is the spirit that you just spoke about,
Yeah.
and I agree for that reason, so there's questions I'd like to have clarified, because I don't feel comfortable acting upon this. Giving you just,
And the only reason I'm saying that is because it hit me hard today. I mean, it was 4 degrees this morning. I'll give you a little prelude to this. 4 degrees this morning, 3 hours baling cardboard. Had a guy come in, half dumped his stuff on the ground, come in. He walked in this afternoon and he saw me reading my email on my phone. He said, that must be nice. All you guys do is sit here and look at your phones. And I sat there for a minute. I'm like, really? I said, where's all the litter? Everything bailed itself. Everything's clean here. You come here and everything is clean. Are we not exceeding expectations? And we're supposed to be watching people dump. And I said, because I was looking at my phone, looking at email, you assume I do nothing. Well, yeah, you got a form.
Yeah.
I said, so we need to be more positive about what we're seeing. And
no, you're right, and I understand the vein in which you presented your point there. I'm just thinking if we do table this, we'll buy a couple of weeks to the next meeting to bring it up again, but will we be able to get some more information? Craig, you wanna add to that?
Yeah, well, I don't, I have a hard time with. This is no disrespect to what you're bringing to this, because I understand where you're coming from fully, right? At the same time. Feelings have no place in a decision like this, right? This has to be purely based on what's right for the town. And those employees. We can honor them in their dedication to this by. Creating or finding or what have you, other ways for them to serve and give them that purpose that they have, right? I understand that the cemetery is a passion, right? I get that. But at the end of the day, there are other ways that they can help. And we can keep them employed there. I'm sure there are plenty of jobs around here. You talked about there was a person
Well, one of them's 86 years old, and he's not gonna drive, he's not gonna shovel snow, he rides a ride along and he does it well.
I mean, the feasibility, I have to say, the feasibility of that being sustainable for any length of time is going to be very short.
As compared to a contract in
As
place.
compared to a
As
contract.
Dave had mentioned, managing one contract is easier than managing 4 employees doing the same contract.
And
And the
I believe that we
maintenance we're
extended,
talking about too.
I believe we extended the mowing contract with our mowing contractor for, we have the right up to 2 more years, this year, 1 more, I believe.
Yeah, it was 3 years.
At least-
There's 3 years,
Yeah.
last year, then we extended for 2 more. So, you know, if we were to, you know, get this contract, I think that they're probably making some. If they took a little bit off on the front end on the main contract, they're probably gaining a little bit back here. I have no problem with that. I don't see that being an issue. We went through something similar with that, with our water contractor, right? And where we kind of made them whole and that proper. I think unfortunately, for me, we have an opportunity to solve a sustainability issue. And if we delay that too long and put our feelings in front of the facts and the decisions that are actually right for the town, we're gonna put ourselves in a bad situation.
Are the folks that are currently doing this job unable to do the job? Now,
Have they had physicals and?
well, I mean, like, for what was done last year. Can it still be done by the same people this year? If the answer is no, then that would be a conversation with them and they'd be a part of knowing that the change is coming.
That's a difficult conversation to have. I think you're getting into HIPAA.
Well, you have to be able to perform the functions
Yeah,
of your job.
understood, but I think it's slippery ground. I don't think we really want to tread. You know, based on what we're getting for services, and I understand your passion the most, I agree 100%, but you know, and I just said. I'd like to think about it and look at this part of it, because, you know, I came up with the hats and you know, I'm with you on that, however. You know, Craig makes a very valid point, I mean, we're here to represent the entire town, not 2 or 3 people. I wish we could, but. I mean, we have options we can do, we can continue to vote, we can withdraw and table if we feel it's worth it, we have a number of things we do here, folks. Yeah, Heather, go ahead.
I understand both sides of that as far as like the concerns and the empathy and the personal part of it, but as well as the budgetary impacts and whatnot. And one thing that Peter did speak repeatedly about was, number one, the age and the amount of work that the employees are doing. And if they're not just riding on a ride-on lawnmower, they're trimming, and the trimming is incredibly physically demanding. When there's a lot of little headstones to trim around, and I know when I trim my yard, it's only 2 or 3 hours and I'm sore at the end. So I can't imagine doing that day in and day out, you know, for the employees. And also there was the 3 part-time employees in the summer, plus there was additional. There was younger kids that were helping at some point, which Peter spoke to not being able to get them to hire them because they're being hired elsewhere at higher rates. To do the trimming, and so the trimming fell to them to do, and it's not sustainable to ask people in their 70s and 80s to be doing work like this. It's just not. And we were lucky we had a rainy summer last year. We could go back to having 90-degree day stretches, you know, and nobody should be doing that, never mind. People of an advanced age, whether they're able or not, you know, nobody should be out there doing it for that period of time.
And if we do go through with this contract, there's no reason why they can't approach the new contract holder, look, I'd like to be able to help down there, they can still do the work.
They're capable to do the work, why can't they apply to do the work?
I was gonna say, I would think
My-
that if the contractor, you know, could hire people that know the area, know where all the rocks are to avoid with the
Yep.
equipment, that might
Right.
be to their advantage to be able to hire people on at a part-time rate for a limited space.
I mean, I think that's what they're gonna be
I
looking
totally
for.
understand.
You know, the only thing I'm just gonna say is I'm very professional, and I'm not gonna say things that shouldn't be said, but I do know that people are applying for the jobs. And that's what I'm gonna say, is that, that's all I can say, is because I'm not gonna, at this point, it's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don. Go ahead, Craig.
One last thing, and I kind of put Jacob on the spot here, I guess, a little bit, but I guess.
Always do that.
Right, I know. I guess at this point, it kind of has to fall to the individual that's done the research, that's looked at things from not just the employee and the town point of view, but also from the financial and the insurance implications too, right? If we have any individual, regardless of age, health, if they're working outside, what ramifications are there if they're injured, if there's some sort of problem, regardless of age? And what do we run as risk there? So if I can, Jacob, if you would give us kind of your preference in this situation or your recommendation or.
You're the manager.
I'm
You're
assuming
gonna run
that,
the crew.
I'm
You're gonna
assuming-
run this crew, so it's his decision. That's
yeah,
where I'm at.
I'm
with
assuming
this.
it's here because he wanted it here, so I kind of,
Right.
I'm just asking if you would.
That is correct.
Okay.
I would not put something before you, folks. I shouldn't say that. At the end of the day, you know, it's the council's decision. This was the council's decision during the budget process, and but with that being said, this is something that I am most comfortable with, and I feel, you know, putting emotions aside, I feel as though this is the more appropriate and the better of the two options. Understanding that there are feelings and emotions that are involved in this, but I think looking at the long-term picture, this is more sustainable for us.
Okay. Thank you, Jacob. Council, anything else?
Any concerns about the actual contract? We talked a lot about the ifs and whens and however, but Steve's property maintenance has been doing work for the town, and we haven't had any issues with them with the works that they're doing for public works or the contract they currently have.
Are we asking or telling?
I'm asking, like, have there been any concerns about?
Any
The
negative
work that they're
feedback on
currently
Steve's
doing.
in their work with the town so far?
I'm in trouble, Steve, so.
Okay.
And I mean, I should add that this is more than likely gonna be a one-year contract. I kind of see this as an opportunity to trial run this to see how it goes. And if we get through the summer and this goes terribly, then we can revisit this. You know, this isn't set in stone.
Right. Yep.
I think that I think it's a good opportunity just to see how this could go.
It's also a good opportunity for somebody stepping into the sexton position for the first time, the first season, just to be able to kind of deal with the administrative part
Absolutely,
of the cemetery and learn that part of the job before having to manage.
absolutely.
Excellent points. Anything else, council? Very well, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 24-31, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 24-31 passes. Jacob, let's wrap this up with resolution 24-32, if you would, please, sir.
Resolution confirming the town manager's appointment of Russell Kraft as code enforcement officer, E911 addressing officer, and local health officer.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 24-32.
Sorry.
Moved and seconded. Before we go to the audience, I see Mr. Pratt is here, so if you would, I'll give you the podium and please speak as you will.
All right, welcome. Well, thank you guys for having me, ladies and gents. A lot of familiar faces here, some new. I look forward to working with the town some more and helping the public and addressing any issues and concerns that come forward in the future. I've already started to. I've got a good feel over the last couple of weeks of some of the issues that are ongoing. And I'll continue to do a good job and help the people of the town.
One quick question before I go
Yes,
to the
sir.
audience. What exactly is an E911 addressing officer?
So in E911 addressing officer, it's updating the database and systems, going out, measuring properties and things like that. So.
Which
you know,
segues into the CEO portions of.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
understood. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I had theories and ideas, but they were way off.
It's sign numbers for the new driver.
Right. Changing street names, yeah.
The biggest part.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So I'll open up the audience. Anyone have any questions or comments on resolution 24-32? All right, I will close the public input. Council, any questions or comments? Any questions for Mr. Kraft?
I don't know.
Yes, please.
Russell, I understand from the background material that there's you're taking a course to be certified or some.
Correct.
Okay, how involved is that, and is there a time frame during which you'll be doing this?
There is a 1-year time frame, which I've already started all the training and everything. I've already got the health officer training done and out of the way within the past couple of weeks. And I'm gonna continue to work on it and chip away at it, even though it's a year, like having it done a lot sooner, just so I'm more accessible and available with have the right answers to the questions that the public has.
Thanks.
Russell passed me his health officer certification on his second day of employment, so he's a little crazy.
Which taking the CEO position, I think you kind of have to be. No, it's all good. I didn't mean to scare him away.
I have no problem with any of the training, as you know, my chief, Danny, he'll tell you. I've done phase 1, Jacob was there, he's seen me get tased and everything with law enforcement. Yeah, so I've done it all, so.
Who ran the taser?
Brett,
Chief?
no, yeah, not chief.
What are your responsibilities as local health officer? What does that include?
So that comes down to properties, businesses, things like that. There's already issues in town that, you're talking about some properties have rats, things like that. If, for example, our acting code enforcement officer, he had to go out, he covers multiple towns. He had to go out to the raids in, Corinna the other day, and, they had all kinds of electrical hazards and things like that. And he had to condemn the homes, things like that
Gotcha.
come up at all given times, if the fire department responds to a call and there's concerns about health issues in a home, they'll pass it on to me and I'll go out and do a thorough investigation and get down to the bottom of what's going on there. And if it has to be condemned, or if we can address it in a better manner for the families, we'll address it that way.
Oh, thank you for.
Not a problem.
So that's a reactive position more than proactive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
So you get input from the fire department, which I never considered, that makes sense, and police department, concerned citizens would call. or-
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as you guys know, I also do animal control as well for the town. A lot of the houses I go to are very hand in hand. Actually, Jacob's actually gone out with me due to an animal complaint, but it was a rat infestation. And it falls under code enforcement. So things like that, I can tackle both at the same time, and continue to serve the town of Pittsfield.
Excellent. Yeah, all set.
I have more of a
Heather, yeah, please.
question. You're currently employed as the animal control officer, and now you're accepting a position. Jacob, how does that work? Concurrent positions, one not the other, drawing 2 salaries, one's supposed to be full-time, the other one's kind of on call, so how does that work, and what are we doing there?
Well, I mean, he's gonna be a full-time employee, and he's essentially just gonna get a stipend for the animal control officer position.
So holding 2 positions.
Correct.
Which we have someone else in town that does the same
Yeah.
other kinds of people. More than 2. You say only 2, rookie?
He's got the health officer,
Yeah.
that means he's over code enforcement, and so that's the guy.
Yeah.
Like rats, bed bugs. You wait.
Council, anything else, council? All right, hearing none, I sense ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 24-32, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 24-32 passes. Congratulations, Russell.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the effort and we'll really look forward to great things.
Enjoy the
Thank you very
I
much.
can't wait to hear his reports.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Al be a very good resource for you too.
He is,
He's
and I'm
very
very comfortable to
intelligent.
work with
Yeah.
him, and I talk to him daily. and-
I'm sure he's really excited that he has the heir apparent to that little corner office up there.
Oh, absolutely.
So he's gonna do everything he can, make sure you
Oh, yeah.
have
no,
great
he's on
success.
it.
Well, congratulations. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Alice is going to, for a little while, probably not much longer, but he has been coming in on Fridays for a few hours. More or less, show Russell the ropes and kind of give them an idea of where things are and some of the, shall we say, issue properties, ongoing properties that he's been dealing with. And he's also staying on as there's no grace period for building inspector and plumbing inspector. And so he's gonna stay on an on-call basis for those.
And how, sorry, but we have an enforcement action agreement in place with the Wet Road property that's supposed to be finished in May, and that will likely, we're expecting, need to have additional legal action taken when it's just not gonna be completed, nothing's been started.
Yeah.
So how do we handle that if Russell hasn't finished his certification yet? Al will still be able to handle that,
No,
going through the courts, or?
Russell is able to act, once he is appointed by the council, he's able to act in the code enforcement officer capacity, even if he hasn't yet achieved code
Okay.
enforcement certification.
Okay.
As long as, and I told him, don't, I'm gonna hold him to it, as long as he gets that within 12 months.
Okay.
There's no issues, it's just that that grace period doesn't exist for building inspection and plumbing inspection, so.
So Al will still be handling those if somebody has a building permit that needs inspection and those types of things?
Yes. For the time being, until Russell gets those certifications.
Heather, all set?
Yes.
All right, so thank you, council. Let's move on to number 10, discussion items. I know Jacob, you had something you want to discuss, so I'll yield the floor.
I included, thank you, Mr. Mayor, I included in the council packet a memo detailing my desire to transition the town office building here to a 4-day work week. I have worked for 2 municipalities previously who have made the transition to a 4-day work week, and I have experienced and seen the benefits that such a change can make. There's essentially 2 things at play here. The first being that, as you all know, our town office is already only open 4 days a week to the public. Currently closed on Wednesdays, but staff is here working. And so my request is for the town office to be open Monday through Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., which will result in an additional 6 hours a week that the town office is open to the public. And so, as I said, the 2 things that really are at play here is increasing the hours that we're open to the public by making us open earlier in the morning and later in the evening for those that work kind of the traditional banker's hours that have to take time off from work to get here before 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. And it also, obviously a 4-day work week is appealing to staff members and potential staff members, individuals that we might recruit down the road. So Pittsfield would certainly not be alone in doing this. I included a list of municipalities around us that have made this change, and I can probably think of another 8 or 10 just around where I live that have also made this change. I sat on a panel for MMA a few years ago, and this was kind of a topic that was of discussion when it came to recruiting and retaining employees, and this was one area where municipalities have seen success. the council has talked previously about, the need to perhaps reevaluate some of our benefits and some of the things that we offer to our staff. We don't necessarily offer some of the things that surrounding towns do, but this is an area that we can, try to become more competitive, all the while not costing anything additional, offering a family plan, that is a very substantial impact to the budget, things like that can be quite costly. This is something that we can do to try to become more competitive with our neighboring municipalities, all the while costing the town nothing additional. So that is my request. Like I said, I put that in your packet.
So Jacob, if we do approve this evening, if we do give the acknowledgement for it, what would be the process if we go through how it's gonna be done? You said you wanted to kind of advertise to a certain degree. I mean, there's no need for a public hearing. We certainly give a verbal approval this evening. So if you kind of flush that out just a little bit for
Yeah.
details.
My request was to make this effective April 1st, which would give us time to advertise on social media, on our website. I would run it for several weeks in the rolling thunder. In the previous town that I worked for, when we made this change, we also, we put a banner outside the town office that people saying, hours change effective such and such a date. And one thing that we also did was we sent out a survey to every mailbox in the town, everyone that had mail service, saying, this is what we want to do. We want to, open earlier in the morning, or stay open later at night to make it more accessible to those working out of town. And so that was kind of the process, and that would more or less be the process that I'd be looking to follow here as well.
Okay. So feedback from the council, I'm in approval of doing that. Any questions or comments, Natalia?
Craig, you had a
I was
question.
fine.
Are you sure? I did, thanks for sending this ahead of time. It was helpful to have a little bit of time to think about it. The data you included was extremely helpful to see all those other towns and how it's working for them. One question that came to mind for me though was how will that impact other departments that are in the town office? If at all, like the police department, the fire department, is there any way that your group not being here is gonna cause them any hardship on a Friday?
Well, the support staff, PD support staff follows the same schedule that we do, meaning Amy and Chief Morris, and so they would be on the same schedule.
So they'd be off on Friday as well.
Correct.
Okay.
But to answer your question, no, I do not believe so, that it would make any impact to the other departments.
You in favor?
Yeah, I am.
Eric?
What does the crew think about working until 6 o'clock? On a consistent basis, how is it received?
I would not approach you with this if this was not something that the staff wasn't supportive of. This is something that they really approached me. I think it was my first day working here. It was.
Worth it, just have that day number one, right?
I think it was, yeah.
Might as well.
Right, and so, again, they're supportive of it, but I've been upfront with them in this process and that, 10-hour days are a lot different than 8-hour days. And while sure, it's nice to have that Friday off, work until 6 p.m. in the middle of winter is not always the most exciting thing, but it's something that they're supportive of and.
Right. I've worked a lot of 10, 12 plus hour days, and the glory in doing that is always, if something needs to happen on a Friday, you skate out at noon, right? That's how you kind of always have the benefit of doing that. Cause I've never had a 4-day work week in my entire life, but the benefit was having the flexibility on, okay, if there's a kid soccer game on at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, I can skate out at 3 o'clock knowing I had my 40 hours and no problem by the end of the week. I just don't want this to be super rigid where people get put in a spot where they're missing their games, they're missing concerts. Cause 6 o'clock, that's rolling into like past supper time, you know what I mean? So I just wanna make sure the crew is, if you're on board and they're on board, I'm totally on board. I just wanna make sure everyone understands the ramification of what that actually means, cause it's a lot different than 8 hours,
All right, so you're supportive?
whatever Jacob wants to do.
Okay. Jason?
I
What do you
am
think?
supportive. I would like to hear, you know, if we are doing a survey, I wouldn't mind hearing, what the outcome of that is, if the, if half the town's, not for it type thing, but, I mean, I think it's, you're open to the public more than you would be if you were open 5 days a
Yeah.
week. Kind of how you are now, so I'm for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one question, in other towns where you went through the transition in other towns? In those towns, where you went to a 4-day work week and other departments such as, maintenance, road crew, et cetera, are on a quote unquote 5-day work week, or the transfer station, is open on Friday and Saturday as well. How have they taken it, and how is it related to other folks that work just in the town office? Have there been issues or problems with them?
No. And there's nothing that says that other departments would not approach me and say, look, we would like to do something similar. That has not happened up until this point, but this could certainly open the door for that to happen.
Have other towns done that?
In Bucksport, the Public Works Department went to a 4-day work week during the summertime and did a 5-day work week during the winter months.
With the daylight.
Okay,
Yeah, we kind of do the same something for our council meetings too. But we're volunteering. You're right.
I thought you did with us.
Yeah, I did, 0 to 0.
It's the only reason I came.
Two times 0 is 0. So, are you, so what are your thoughts? You in favor of the, okay, Heather?
A couple of things. Natalia touched on one big question that I had about the impact on the other departments, because there's a lot of services that the town office provides to the other departments as far as being able to submit POs and get information and process things. So I have concerns about the workflow through the departments being able to do that. I do think there will be an impact on that as far as now the office is closed on Wednesday to the public, but it's still available to the employees to be able to conduct internal business. And then having the rest of the departments open, especially the police department. One of the reasons why we added back in the staff position that Amy holds now is so that somebody was actually in that office during the day, so that when people came to that town office with an issue, somebody was there. And I know that was a huge concern that nobody's here during the day, and it's totally unstaffed, and nobody could find people when they needed help. Even if it was just like, hey, somebody scratched my car, or there's a cat, or whatever. Another concern that I think Eric brought up was the impact on the staff. It is a really big difference between an 8-hour day and a 10 or 11, it's like 10.5-hour days. And my concern would be anybody with small children, all the women, all the staff people right now in the office are women. And so women are generally the caregivers in the families. And this would be a big impact on families, I think, with young children. Given the ladies that we have up there now and anybody we might be hiring, I think it would have a big impact on their family life. And also Friday's payday for a lot of people, and a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, and when they need to register their car, they're cashing their paycheck, they're coming to the town office on Friday to register it before it expires or whatever. So that would be another issue of concern that I would have, would be the availability of people to conduct business on Friday. I love the fact that other communities did a survey before making a change like that. And so I would like to not vote on this tonight and have a community survey done either through our Facebook, through the website,
keep it open for a few weeks, publicize it and be like, this is the change we're gonna make. Or we're thinking of it and get more community input than the 6 or 8 people that are in the room. And have it be an actual resolution on here. I think that's how we did it last time when we changed the hours. We had an actual resolution to do that. But I'd like to have more community input for making a big change.
Okay.
Oh. I guess a couple things, and I hear you on the Friday thing. I'm a consummate procrastinator. I will hold everything until the very last moment. I don't necessarily know that that makes an argument for keeping the office open, though. I think that brings more to the forefront the quality, accessibility, and options that we have on our website. And I think that brings that more into an immediate need to take care of, more so than keeping the office open. We're giving 2.6 more hours of office time per week. And then if we also increase our ability to handle the online traffic, that takes care of the people that work out of town 4 days a week, what have you. That takes care of all of that, I think, to some extent, and gives us the ability to handle those. I guess that's what I would ask for, is that if we do move forward with this, and it does seem like the majority is in favor of moving forward with that, that I think that needs to be kind of the next kind of progression, and we try to set a timeline for, we need to have a contract in place by the end of March, right? We need to go out to bid, however long that takes, 2 months, whatever that is, ASAP, to get that revamped and those things added to our website, which pretty much just go stick a dynamite on it and start over. But I think that's it. And, you know, I guess I understand the need for, and I don't entirely disagree with public opinion. At the same time, if I ever ran my business by populace, I would never get anything done. And it kind of ties in the earlier conversation of emotion. It brings emotion into a decision that I think needs to be very just apathetic. It just needs to be cut and dry, and this is the way we're doing things, and it's best for our business and our town. And if it helps with recruitment and retention and shows additional benefits to our employees, I'm all for it. I'd dive headlong into that, that's for sure.
All right, thank you. So I have full faith in what you're doing with this, Jacob. Because as you mentioned, I don't think we've seen anything to the contrary. You would have your ducks in a row. You would have all the answers to the questions before the questions are asked. You know, if you do have the consensus that the ladies and the people in the office that are affected by this as town employees, if they're in for it, I say go for it. And I do agree with you. I understand your point, Heather, but ruling by populist vote on something that's unnecessary to do so is just putting the burden on the process. So if you feel comfortable with Jacob, we gave you the reins to run this town as you see fit, you know, with guidance input from the council as needed and as required and as desired. So I have full faith that you know, that it's the right thing to do. And you know, I have been the benefit of 4-day work weeks. I have 4 workday weeks, and it's a huge benefit having that extra day to do anything else you need. So I say with the positive we've heard, I would say continue, do what you need to do on that. So with that, you have something for the citizen committee for vision and planning. You want to continue on that?
Yeah, this is something that the council kind of briefly discussed during the goals and objectives session. I think you know, I've talked with a few people, a few council members about the need to kind of, in a way, rally the troop in the community to try and get them more involved in the process. And so my request more or less, and this is something that Jan and I kind of talked about, and I'd like to volunteer him to kind of spearhead the whole thing, but he doesn't seem to want to. Is to more or less try and spark a movement to get the community meeting together in some sort of a group or committee format to talk about what they value for Pittsfield, what they want to see for Pittsfield. You know, what, to answer some of those kind of big question items that Jan had kind of listed, in that sheet that we had during the goals and objectives meeting. So, really no action needed by the council. I more or less see this as I essentially just want the town to support this and to try and be a resource. I don't think it's anything that we have to spearhead, but I think it is something that we should try to promote and encourage.
Mhm.
So I gave Jan a resource today that I asked him to kind of look at and see what he might think is good. It's Community Heart and Soul organization. They have done there are some communities several communities in the state who have kind of gone down a similar path with them. So more or less just putting it on your radar, and something that we'd like to see down the road.
Okay. All set, Jacob?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, very
Can I
good.
speak to that, too?
Yeah, briefly, please.
That whole idea of the visioning for the town and planning and whatnot dovetails right into the grant that the library is gonna be submitting. That's really the purpose of that grant, so I think that the town supporting that project, if it goes forward and is awarded to the town, really wholeheartedly supporting that and always possible, would certainly go a long way to building that community support for that. And it would provide some structure for it, because Catherine, correct me if I'm wrong, but last time we put that grant in, it was like, there was a facilitator that was going to, and so that would have structure to it, and we'd also have defined goals. And so that would be a great jumping off point for that to start. And I would say that also kind of leads us into the comprehensive plan development as well. And so these things are all like stepping stones leading up to the final product and stuff. So.
All right, thank you. So we're at the point now, I will open to public comment. Anyone in the audience have anything they wish to bring up, comment on, question? Now is the opportunity.
I just feel very old tonight. Based upon all of the discussion. Holy cow. But that's okay.
Okay.
You want-
I did ask for comments. I guess I didn't clarify the scope of comments, but that's fine.
I'll give you my comments.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Yes, please.
Just on the whole schedule thing, I just wanted to put in that, for me, being on that schedule piece and having to be in the office all the time, a lot of times people come in and I might not be there because I step out for a lot of different community events and stuff like that. We have a phone number they can call to get a hold of dispatch, to get a hold of any of us. We've got it situated now that if they call the office, it actually goes to my email and I can get it on my phone. So we're never missing anything. Like this weekend, there was a really, really important call that came through that some people don't call 911 when they should. So it went to my phone, so I automatically just called the officer. I wasn't working, but I still got it on my email. I'd seen it popped up. I called the officer, said, can we go respond to this? So even though I may not be there on a Friday, I can still have access to when they call in. So for my part of it, I don't feel like that's the police department. And the chief and I have already talked, if there's an emergency situation where either one of us need to come in, we can still come, because I've come on the weekends, he's come on the weekends. So I don't feel that really affects the police department. The other thing is I can tell you from a lot of people who come in and call for me all the time, there's quite a few people that I think are more annoyed that, as that's coming from how they've said it to me, more annoyed that we're closed, but still here. And they'd rather see longer hours and be able to come in than just see that we're closed, but they can't even come in. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there for us.
Right, thank you, Amy.
I just follow up.
Yeah, please do.
And Jacob did give me that material, which I've read, of some things that are happening in other places, and it's kind of exciting, the way it's laid out. And I think it's a golden opportunity to answer the question, where do we want to be 10 years from now? or 5 years from now, so, and I'll help out a little bit. You know, whatever.
No, I heard you jumping in spearheading the whole thing. That's what I'm hearing. Go ahead, I dare you. All set? All right, anyone else in the audience wish to speak this evening? All right, very well, thank you for the input, folks. I'll close the public comment. We'll start with Craig, please, for the council comments.
Yeah, like I said, congratulations. We are super excited. The impact that you've already had for this town is amazing. And looking forward to it. I think you're gonna be awesome. I really do. So congratulations. And I guess the only other thing I want to say is some of the comments tonight may have come across as cold or calculating, especially when looking at the cemetery and the individuals that have given a lot of their time to support this town. We have to make the right decisions in the face of what may seem like to some is uncomfortable or dissatisfactory. And we have to do that to continue to move this town forward and put us in a better position. My only hope is that they can take that energy and find ways to continue to serve this town. We are certainly appreciative of everything that they've given and thank them sincerely for all that they have done for us in the support of this town. And really wish that they will continue to be there for us. So that's it.
All right, thank you, Craig. Heather, let's go to you next, please.
Welcome, Russell.
Thank
Really excited. This has been a, 5-year plan goal to have a full-time.
One of the quicker ones we've been able to do recently, yeah.
Welcome to the inaugural position. You get to like learn and make all the mistakes. That being said, you know, we are a very small town, you know, and we feel things deeply because everybody knows somebody. And everybody knows just some people like Donnie knows everybody in town. You know, and so that does, you know, pull the heartstrings and everything, but I think Ron is right. Yes, I'm saying Ron is right. You know, there are, but it's a founder. There are times that, you know, as much as we would want to do one thing, we need to do another thing in order to kind of like put us on a path. And right now, the council's overarching thing is to have stable services, provide the best service for the best price, and move the town forward in a direction. And so that's the direction we're going tonight. Unfortunately, you know, there are real people that are affected by that, one way, positive and negative. And it's not always going to be a given trait. And so I can just imagine that, you know, people that have worked at jobs for a very long time, they do feel very committed to those jobs. And it's hard to let things go sometimes. So I feel that. And then the other thing, I tallied up the number of grants. If we got all the grants tonight, that'd be over $100,000 in grants and improvements in the town. And I think that that just goes to show that we're not even through the end of February yet, and what can happen when you have a person that's completely dedicated to finding that funding, finding ways to have programs that can move the town forward, whether it's a small program or a large program, it all has an impact. And those, some of these things can, you know, we talked about stepping stones, you know, that can lead to bigger things, like straightening out that intersection on Somerset Ave, which is 5 different places and no lighting or anything. So, so I think we made a lot of good progress tonight, and excited to see what we're doing.
All right, thank you, Heather. Doc, let's go to you next, please, sir.
Thank you. Again, congrats, Russell.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome to the club. I think the 4-day work week, Jacob, is a great idea. I think it'll take time to evolve, and as you well know, you can't please everybody every day with everything. So, and you will find, likewise in this position, that that's the case. Any word on the Main Street project as far as, meeting with, for the report that's come out?
We're meeting with them,
We've received the initial, or I have received the initial draft of that, and the Royal Palmer is looking to meet with the committee on Monday.
Great. Okay. The other thing is, Catherine, I know that I had spoken to Holly, a while back, and it's come up a couple of times since then. Any grants that can be forthcoming for the library as far as the windows that need repair? The front windows have been rotting and, are doomed to fall out, any day now, if they're not repaired.
I thought we had funding for that.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, go ahead, Catherine, please.
Yes, I don't have a lot of information on this. I talked to both Holly and Donna recently. Somebody in the community a business is working on this and trying to move the project forward. There's a donation that is going to the Friends, but I don't have, any more details than what Donna has provided, and Holly. It's the same, indication. When the monies were originally placed in the reserve account, from the quote, discussions they had before COVID, they thought they had enough money. What we've learned from the engineer, who works at a company here in town that's spearheading this, the cost has gone a lot higher than that. And that is the extent of what Donna knows, and she gave me all the information.
Okay. I mean, it's an historic building, we need to do what's necessary to maintain it.
Yeah, we've been told, they were told, by the business owner and the company that it will be taken care of. I don't have the details on it.
Okay.
I did look around for grants. So far, I have not found anything, but these are only the deadlines. When I started on this at the end of December, these are the only deadlines so far in January, February, up to March 6th that I'm working on now.
Okay.
Other grants will come out regardless of the fact that there is a repository of information to the federal government. I've learned that not all grants are listed there for the federal government. There are many more. With that bill funding, BIL, that came down when all this money went to all these different agencies, a lot of them are holding the money themselves. And so they will release when the grant's going to come out. You get like 3 weeks to apply. So there'll be dates all during the year. And hopefully there'll be something.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to, kind of ask about and bring up is, I know that we're looking to make some revisions to the charter, this year. And I was looking at, some of the committees that we have, and some of the committees that are on the books that really have been non-functional or basically non-existent for several years. Given the fact that we've kind of heading towards, developing an economic development, type of department or, effort. The Economic Development Committee, which has been, my understanding is an advisory committee only to the council. Maybe, something needs to be done with that as far as to reinvigorate it, or as we're looking at the charter, to basically reconstitute it, as a combined community and council kind of committee. Just to kind of keep things going along with, the efforts that are ongoing through the PBI, as well as, the Main Street project and what the town is going to be. Your efforts today, bringing Jan in as far as, looking at some of the options. One of my suggestions was actually going to be to create an ad hoc committee, that might be advisory, combining with the council and, you know, citizens of the town to see what we want to do, where we want to be, you know, several years from now and how to get there. You know, who are the movers and shakers as far as, you know, developing, you know, new downtowns or renovating downtowns? You know, what does the town need? Where are we with, you know, with housing? Where are we with, you know, what businesses do we need? You know, and I think, you know, your mandate to Jan, you know, and I'm sure he'll start working on it tonight. If I know Jan, and he'll bring it up at coffee tomorrow morning.
There you go.
You know, is a great start, and I think that more needs to be done in this respect, and I look forward to, you know, having input and participating in an effort like that. So, you know, I think kudos to kind of heading in this direction. That's it.
All set?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Doug. Natalia, let's go to you next, please.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome, very excited. Sounds like you know what you're supposed to be doing, which is awesome. I'm just gonna say to Donnie, who's not here anymore, but I think he did a really great job representing his colleagues, and we heard what he had to say. And then just Jacob, thank you for your efficiency.
All set?
That's that.
All right, thanks, Natalia. Eric, please.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And I'm really excited about the transitions and the new positions in town, the new faces, the new energy, and I think it's pretty key time in our, at least in my residency here in Pittsfield. So it's exciting. All I would say is make it yours, right? I mean, it was something before, make it your job, make it however that fits you best, not just the way Al did it, might not be the way you do it, right? So it's make that transition. I mean, he's got a lot of knowledge, do all that stuff, but make sure you make it so it fits you. Yeah, I'm excited about what's going on. I mean, it's some good stuff in the 4-day work weeks. I mean, that's not new, right? People have been doing that for a long time. I understand on the other side, I used to be the guy who had to work the 5 days, but my crew got to work the 4, right? So I was like, oh man, I wish I was hourly so I could get out of here on a Friday, but, so I think it's a huge benefit. But family is important to me too. So making sure that the crew understands what that implication looks like. It's written down on paper now, when they actually start to execute it. Hopefully they feel the same way about it, and I think they probably will, right? Because it's a huge benefit to have that Friday to pick your kids up at school or drop them off at school or whatever it might be. So, yeah, I mean, as far as the cemetery stuff, I mean, empathy is really important to use empathy. Sympathy is not really my super strong suit. Empathy just needs to be, you just gotta think about it, and I feel it, right? Like, I know what that feels like, and I've laid people off and got rid of people and hired people, and it's very emotional, right? You get attached to these people, and they put a lot of heart into this. But at the end of the day, if you take care of the town will take care of you, right? So that's what we gotta do, we gotta take care of the town. So I think that's part of that. So, good.
All set? Thank you, Eric. Deputy Mayor Jason Hall.
Congratulations. It's exciting. Looking forward to working with you and seeing what we can, change around town. There's certainly a lot to, it's been, yeah, that's overdue and I'm looking forward to that. One of the things I kind of noticed, tonight was, obviously we've got, Heather mentioned like $100,000 worth of grants if we can get them. That's amazing and I couldn't be happier about it. But I hope that we are not so much focused on the fact that a deadline is coming and we're focusing on grants that we don't necessarily, you know, really move the needle for our town, and we miss out on the bigger grants that may take, you know, months and months to actually implement or apply for. So I hope that we're maybe getting a report of grants coming up, grants that we see coming in the next month, 6 months, a year, and we are planning for those and not just looking at something that's due next month and applying for that just because there's a deadline. You know, I think the grants that we applied for or that we're looking into now are great. I'm not saying they're not, I'm just saying we need to have a broad view of everything that we can apply for and not miss out on bigger things. So I don't know how that is implemented, if that's a weekly, a monthly report that goes from, you know, Catherine to Jacob, if it's something that's shared with the council, because, you know, we all have input on grants. I think more input the better on what we're kind of driving for. And maybe it's something to do with the ad hoc committee that, you know, they're looking at it too, because, you know, they have a vision for the town. And then, something out, the streetlights, I thought that was amazing. Saving $27,000 a year when we're trying to pinch pennies, that's huge. It should have been done, you know, years ago. I'm thrilled that it's gonna happen. It's gonna be safer and much less maintenance, so, looking forward to that. And, that's about it.
All right, thank you, Jason. I'll be as brief as possible. Says the politician. So you've heard it 6 times, you're gonna hear it 7. Congratulations, welcome aboard. We're all very anxious to see what you can do with that position. And if you look around, there's not a single person in this room, this town wants to see you fail. And it starts with that gentleman right there. If anything we can do, even if we're just gonna be morale boosters for you, pat on the back of your cheerleaders. We've been talking about the necessity of having a CEO, full-time CEO for a very long time. The Webb Road is, you know, one of the instances. Actually, we got lucky with the one on Peltoma and Lansing. That was a problem place, but they're really doing things well with that. The one right across from MCI. Right on the corner of Main Street in Peltoma, that was another one, and that was having an active CEO in place and having that presence. You know, so just, it's not that you have to roll up your sleeve and carry the big hammer, and knowing that there is a person here that has that will react, and that has the intelligence and the respect and foresight to be able to do that. So thank you very much. You have the council's support just as much as you possibly need.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So thank you for coming on board. You had mentioned about the PPI meeting, so I'm looking at the email here, so Jacob had sent out for the Main Street Committee meeting, it's myself, Jason Hall, Heather, Brent Newhouse, Peter Vigu, Craig Weaver, I'm not familiar with him, Lindsay Holmstrom and Eric. So that's Monday at 6 here, so we're starting to see some results of that. So you said you have that report, they're gonna review on that? Is that something that you could share with the group beforehand, so we can have a chance to look at it? Okay, if you would, all right, thank you very much.
I did receive an email from Councilor Saucier saying that he was gonna step down from that committee, not to speak for you, Eric.
Yeah, no, that's,
Well,
I should have
starting
thought of it.
Tuesday, right?
I should have effective today, actually, when I sent my email.
I
I think there-
heard Tuesday, the 27th.
My feeling, there's a lot of bodies on that committee, and there's a lot of horsepower there, and there's people that can put some good time into that, and I don't really have the time to give that it deserves, so I did ask Jacob, or told Jacob, I guess, that
Yep.
as of today, I'd like to step off that.
No, I think you're doing it for the right reason. Okay, good. Thank you for that. And one more thing I want to run by the council, just quick nods of head or shaking vigorously of heads. So we talk about starting the charter revision. I had images going through and signing sections or having a list and me generating lists, but I don't want to do that because I'm not going to cover everything. And I may have missed some points that you all have in mind that you want to discuss. So what I'd like to do for the next meeting, March 6th, whenever it is, that Wednesday, I have a executive session and we can start to talk about it. So what I'd like to do is put that on the agenda, executive session to discuss the charter, start discussing the charter revisions. Possible, what's that? Well, let me finish what I'm gonna say, and it might work for you anyway, because what I'd like to do is, everyone has a copy of the charter. If you don't, it's available online, so when you get a chance between now and then, take a look through it, take some notes and whatnot. You know, I'm probably gonna ask you, probably a little more than what we're gonna be doing, but I'm gonna be taking notes anyway. If you can jot it down, an email or a note and just put it in Jake's box, or, you know, we can cover the points that you'd wanna bring up on that. I mean, we can do it for the next meeting, but I mean, I'll leave it out there. Does the council want to do this the next meeting or the following one where Heather will be available? Because I like to have all ponies in the stable if we could. What's your?
So I don't see the rush at this point.
You wanna do it, the second meeting in, March?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
so we'll be there.
Okay with that? Okay, perfect. Yep, I mean, excellent point, Heather. Thank you.
I don't
So-
know if that, I have to check the statute, Mr. Mayor, but I don't know if that, is something that we can go into executive session for. I tend
that right?
to not, but, I don't.
Well, how would we have a open candid discussion on that? It wouldn't be a resolution. I mean,
Or just be like a work.
Workshop, yeah.
I'll tell you what, word it as you will, however the way it needs to be. I just wanted to make sure we had
Make it
the,
work.
yeah. Make it work. Make it happen. Yeah, so as long as it's still, we're good.
Do it.
He gets paid more than.
Yeah, he gets paid a lot more than we do, even combined. Yeah, so we'll start that for the next meeting. So it'll give us a number of weeks to get our copies of the charter and start the review.
Do we want to have a goal of like a particular section, everybody read thoroughly and discuss that night and like?
Actually, what my thought was, we all have an idea what we want to do. What I'm thinking, if we get a chance to go through and we each have our own list, and then we can generate a final list on that, then we can start, putting meat to the bones. I think what we need to do is develop an outline instead of going section to section. Maybe sections we don't even need to do. Maybe sections that, Craig may have an idea of something none of the rest of us are gonna, identify. Doubtful, but it's possible. I'm kidding.
Sorry. Well, we can also assign sections once we get the sections put together, right? Each person kind of
And that's what I think the talk will do. I mean, I can come up with something, send it out, but as a mayor, I could probably do that, but I don't think that's the right way to do it. I want to make sure we're all encompassing, because I think we have an opportunity here with a significant election coming up in November. I think we do it right. We should be able to hit. If we don't get everything we need, we're gonna get a lot of the low hanging fruit. And I think, Jason mentioned before, maybe some administrative things that could be tweaked and changed after, but to get the major part of it out. I'd like to get it all at once, but we'll see what we do. But anyway, so we can at least get the workshop started, start to talk.
I think we need an agenda and a schedule, a lot like we do with the budget sessions, to be able to tell the general public, this is the night that we're going to discuss this section.
Right, but we can't identify that until we all get together and identify the sections that we want to review, because there may be sections we don't even need to touch upon, but we don't know that until we review it.
Are these public sessions? Are we accepting public input during workshops?
We'll have to figure that out with
Because
this.
we might not have issues with like a particular section, but someone in the general public might want to.
Right, but as the council, we need to make sure that we have, input from our end on what we feel needs to be done, and, because we're given the authority and responsibility by the public to present them with budgets, present them with resolutions, present them with input on various items in the town. I think this needs to be the same way, because, 4,000 people, how many people other than former councils have even looked at the charter or even know it exists? So we're gonna ask them to read a book this big and give, thoughtful and clear and concise feedback on it. I think we define what we would need to do for review, and then we can, discuss it from that point on.
Yeah.
But we need to start something. It's just the start. We can flesh it out as we go, but I don't think we can define everything from now until November 3rd or 10th, whenever the election is. But we gotta start somewhere, and we just haven't got it off top dead center. This is gonna be the start, that's all.
My feeling on it is that there are rules and the laws that the town of Pittsfield operates by, and that we are beholden to listen to.
Yep.
Whether they come or not, we need to be very clear about what's happening and what's being discussed
Yep.
when.
Understood, and as we have comments, this is my comment section, as I said, we're just starting. This is just the start. I understand your concerns. We need to at least start the conversation. This is all I'm asking. I'm not saying we're gonna do it all in, behind closed doors. Here you go. Public, November 3rd, now you vote. We're just starting conversation. That's it. All right, so that's all I have for this evening. I'll look for a motion from the council for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.